You lift me off of the ground. I close my eyes and I wait for the come down. I used to live in the now. Now I'm wiser to think that we are bulletproof. Teens with thicker skin, now we just bruise. We were hopeless and we're hopeless now. But I remember we threw our fists in the air singing. I remember when we were kids, never scared, yeah. And the sky went dark, we used our hearts to guide us. You showed me you care. And I remember, yeah, I remember. Now, but I remember we threw our fists in the air singing. I remember when we were kids, never scared, yeah. And the sky went dark, we used our hearts to guide us. You showed me you care. And I remember, yeah, I remember. Take the key and lock my heart away. Tie me down, but you're in outer space. Darling, even if you're tied away, and nothing I could say to make you stay. Nothing I could say to make you stay. I don't understand it. This wasn't the plan. Don't wanna demand it. I've done what I can. And I never mentioned the times you were rude. And I never mentioned when you hid the truth.
Attacking around. Still be awesome. Penalty Bengal. But in Bays. Great shot for Mad Dogs. He takes. Rescue's ready for the question. But in she's going in hot. She takes out. It didn't take out Mama. But he stopped. Great shot from Mad Dog. He takes out Boogie. This does get one, and he gets two. That's an awesome.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to HydroCore Gaming's Rainbow Six Siege League. I'm one of your analysts, Misfit Minus, joined by my second analyst, Flurnix. And tonight is the actual first cast of the new season. So, obviously, we are here right now for HydroCore. And with the new season comes a lot of new teams, so kind of a lot of things that we've not seen on stream before, but then also a lot of new productions. So obviously you're seeing analysts here in front of you right now, and that will be a thing throughout the rest of the season, as well as, a different set of casters as well coming in. So looking forward to a lot of new things in HydroCore, and give us some feedback. Hopefully you enjoy it, and hopefully as the games progress with the new analyst system that Flurnix has put together, we can provide a lot of commentary for you guys and also kind of break down the games a little bit more than we've been able to do in the past. So tonight, though, for the first game of the season, we have Chai eSports, which is no stranger to HydroCore League, versus Vinacity eSports, which, if I'm not mistaken, they're a brand new team, right, Flurnix?
I believe so.
Awesome. So two, decent different types of teams coming in. We've had some experience with Chai, like we said, not performing as well as maybe they might have hoped last season. But they're definitely, I'm sure, roaring and ready to go for this season, and we're excited to see what Vinacity can do here in HydroCore as well. The map bans still haven't started. Here in another 3 or 4 minutes, you'll expect those to get up on the screen. But right now, we're going to go into kind of a breakdown of how you feel about competitive Rainbow Six Siege. So, if you are brand new to competitive Rainbow Six Siege, the next minute and a half is going to be for you. And if you know what you're doing, just hang out, hang tight, and just bear with us, right? So the way competitive Siege works, similar to ranks, you're going to come into the match, and each team, after you've done full map bans to decide what map you're going to play, each team gets 2 attacker bans, or an attacker ban and a defender ban for 2 of each total. After that, you're going to go into the match. Each team spends 6 rounds on each side. So, for instance, if Chai chooses, depending on how it gets broken down, to start attack or defense, they'll spend the first 6 rounds on defense, and Vinacity will spend the first 6 rounds on attack. At the end of what we call a half, they'll then swap sides, and they'll spend 6 rounds up to on the opposing half. So Chai will switch to attack, and Vinacity will switch to defense. The first team to 7 points wins the match and gets the full amount of points for the game. If both teams get 6 points, they tie the match, and that's 1 point per. That's still the rule right now, right? Tracking that one? Is that right?
As far as I know, yes.
Perfect. So 1st to 7, that's 3 points. Tied 6-6, 1 point. And if you lose, which means you get less than 6 points in the match, you get 0 points. There is no overtime again because we're doing ties. So that is the way competitive Siege works. Also in game, again, if you have never seen it before, there is no point system, etc. A lot of that stuff is taken out, so the players are more focused on the game, and then also having to go off sound calls. You're not going to know if you down people, etc. It's all about information, communication, teamwork with inch of gun skill. So that's all in there. But map bans underway here in a little bit. What do you expect tonight for maybe the first match from Chai and Vinacity, Flurnix? Do you have any expectations, or are you just excited to watch?
I'm excited to see them. I know that last season we saw Chai go, I believe it was Clubhouse and Cafe, and I think it was actually your team that took them to Clubhouse. And like you said earlier, they didn't do as well as I think that anyone had expected, but they do have new players this season, so I'm kind of excited to see how those new players would work together as the team and like any changes that they've made for this season.
Yeah, something I think is pretty cool that they kind of put in their fun facts that we asked for at the beginning of the league is that almost all of the players are actually originally not from the United States, but have since moved to the United States. So I've always thought that's been kind of a pretty cool factor with a lot of European teams and a lot of Asian teams where, you might have different languages, but they have to figure out how to pull it in together and communicate in, whether it's English or, whatever language they choose, they have to use those barriers or break through those barriers to play in the game. So good on Chai. Obviously I'm sure a lot of them probably grew up for the most part in the United States, but I think it's pretty cool to have a team in the United States made up of 5 different countries. So that is pretty neat.
Yeah, I think I had said last season that the language barrier was a problem, but since they've been playing together for this long now, I'm hoping that like they've kind of figured out a system that works for them.
And I'm with a lot of competitive Siege, it's mostly just the amount of like you have together. Obviously a lot of it's skill, but a lot of it's comfortability. I mean, you could have a stack of diamonds. I've seen them get beat by literally plat 3s and gold 1s that were coordinated, and the diamonds are just yeeting themselves in. So kind of curious to see kind of where Vinacity sits versus also Chai, because we kind of know Chai again, like I said. So curious to see how structure versus skill kind of plays out tonight as we come into the map bans. What are your thoughts on Chalet? So new to the map pool here in the past few months, since kind of last season as well. So what are your thoughts on Chalet? Do you think you'll see a lot of play it in the league or not as much?
I don't know. We had more people play it last season than I had expected when it got changed over. But I haven't played Siege in like a month. I've been taking a break from it. So I don't know like how popular it is now. But I'm excited to see people play it. I like the map a lot, so I always like seeing it.
It's super fresh, right? So it brings a fresh look for our viewers, both in Pro League and then in leagues like this as well. And it's also fresh to play. So like I personally enjoy playing it both in comp and then in just normal ranked, unranked, your daily Siege. But it did see a lot of play if anybody is keeping up with professional Siege in the 6 Invitational. And there were a lot of teams that played Chalet. Which is now actually currently overtaken Consulate as the most attacker-sided map in the pool. So statistically, if you go on to Chalet, which a lot of people assumed, with a new map, it's usually defender-sided, and as time progresses, it becomes more and more attacker-sided, like we've seen with Clubhouse or even Oregon right now, honestly, and some of the other maps. It is actually just immediately starting to be attacker-sided. So that's a pretty cool. I think that lends itself to some of the map design that the designers try to work towards, because historically Siege has been really crazy defender-sided. So I think the map design, they're working. And then also the meta shift has been huge for Siege and also Chalet. So.
And it looks like we're down to Cafe and Villa right now. So no Chalet today, but
super depressing. Yeah, I had to refresh my screen there. It wasn't going, so I was just sitting here talking.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so yeah, Cafe or Villa, both, at least in my perspective, with Villa specifically being defender-sided, Cafe a little bit, but more and more teams are figuring out how to attack and break down the map. And it looks like we're going to Villa, though. So I don't know if you're excited about Villa, but that is
Yeah.
going to be, I think, a pretty defender-sided map and very structured.
Yeah, Villa's one of my favorite maps, so I'm actually pretty happy about this.
So with it coming down, we're going to have Chai on defense in Villa and Vinacity starting on attack. So definitely a show of structure because, Villa, again, is one of those maps that it requires the most structure, I think, and probably most of the pool, honestly, when you look at the current map pool in the game. I would argue that it is the most structured, both on attack and on defense, with kind of the checklist of things that you have to do and the way you need to play it to win. Just how big the map is. We'll see how roam clears work out and how people roam on the map, especially. So I think a pretty good test and a weird first map, arguably. Like, you don't see many people starting a league on Villa, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm excited. I was honestly expecting Cafe when I saw the last two, especially since we've seen Chai go to Cafe before. So
Sure. Of course, that could also, maybe they're trying something new and they realize that Cafe was a thing for them last season, so they could be breaking it over. But like I said, I'm curious to see how they played out, and especially with some of the new strategies coming in. Teams are defending and attacking Aviator games different ways. Same things with Trophy Statue, etc. So always love seeing new teams try different things. Not reinforcing all the walls, opening up in a study, giving the attackers a side, letting them win. I mean, not that, but it. I think it'll be a good time. So, but again, we don't have much stats on this season, so because it is the first game, so we'll see who pulls it out. I think with that, though, we're going to let the players load in the lobby here for the next couple minutes, and then we should be underway here just momentarily on the stream. So hang tight, stay tuned, and get ready. Chai eSports versus Vinacity eSports. Chai on defense, Vinacity on attack here for their game number 1 in HydroCore League Season 3.
Unresolved, maybe it's madness. I'm begging you, please pick up the call. You're causing me damage. I should've known, wasn't your fault. Don't even matter. I wasn't thinking clear, trying to take it there. Scared to lose it all. I won't stand a chance, and I don't wanna fake it. What if I can't walk away? You got me standing in the rain, hoping I don't make the same mistake.
All right, welcome back. I am Flarewing, and I am joined by the returning from the analyst desk, Midas. And this is our first game of Season 3 Chai Esports versus Vinacity Esports.
Yeah, super excited to get in and watch it again. We talked about how different kind of Villa is from what we see a lot of teams play here in the league. So I'm curious to see exactly how both teams kind of dissect the size of the map, the structure that's typically required, roam clear versus roam. I'm super excited to watch the map tonight, and I think it'll be a good one for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Villa is one of my favorite maps to both cast and play on because I would say the versatility it has, versatility, or whatever you call it. Because the way it can play. I mean, we've seen Villa be attacker sided, we've seen it be defender sided. It is such a flip flop map based on the teams playing, and with it being that we've seen Chai play, but we haven't seen Vinacity play. This is new, so we don't know what to expect at all, which is both really, really, it can be nerve wracking, but it's also super exciting. And if our first bands coming out is Thatcher and Sledge, Thatcher being extremely expected. Sledge, while he's incredibly useful, not a super common band.
Yeah, you really don't see that often, and I mean, the only thing I can imagine is if the team plans to utilize, Castle or Maestro or, play downstairs pretty heavy. Because I've seen some teams start to really go the living room side, actually, both in the Invitational and other Pro League games as well. So, maybe that's just kind of they plan on going downstairs heavy, want to get him and his nades out. But then the Valk ban also, which is pretty common on Villa because it is incredibly useful here on this map, specifically due to its size.
Yeah, Valk is probably currently considered one of the most oppressive operators in the game on the defensive side. Her her ability to put these cameras literally almost anywhere she wants and hide them, and the amount of information she can give a team is insane, especially Mira being the next one. Two of the most highly banned defenders. Both of these bans make total sense. Mira's ability to completely restructure the way the attackers have to play the map is insane. I mean, you can think about like study side when teams want to try to push through study, but there's a Mira there. It is the most obnoxious thing to have to deal with. So both of those defense bans make perfect sense. It does look like we're going to get Aviator and Games though as our first site.
Yeah, and you're exactly right on the Valk because I think the most powerful piece about the Valk is, especially on this map, you don't know if you're being spotted on a Valk cam. As in, like, obviously not if they actually spot you because you'll know, but like that gadget can provide so much information without you ever even knowing you're on the Valk cam and can make the difference in a round or not. But I think the second piece that's huge about it is it requires the attackers, if they're good cams, really, to bring an IQ, which right now with no nades, etc., IQ is an absolute waste of a man typically on the attacker side, especially with all the utility you have to clear with Nade, Sophia, Ash, Yana, etc. So kind of a twofold.
Yeah, IQ is one where it is highly considered, if there's a Valkyrie on the board, you want to bring the IQ, but it's just such a sacrifice on bringing the IQ in its own right as well, and everything else you're losing by bringing that just to deal with Valkyrie in theory. But obviously we see Valkyrie to worry about that. Now, what we do see, this defensive setup, we do see Study getting completely reinforced. Now, we've seen a lot of teams, they'll actually just reinforce part of Study, and they'll actually leave certain walls soft so they can play some things, they can deal with Habana pellets, whatnot. But it looks like they're just gonna not deal with that at all. And that's fine. I mean, we're going into a little bit of a new meta, a little bit more of an aggressive meta. And we do see, it looks like Caleb over here on this roam, he's getting ready to see if he can stop anybody from doing that full horizontal clear, which we do see Vinacity planning to do.
Yeah, especially for teams that love to play this trophy statue side, the holes open into study are always pretty huge because that just creates some extra pressure that the attackers are going to have to learn to deal with. And you see actually a pretty good use of barricades there. I'm not really a fan of barricading a bunch of doors, but it actually stops the Yana drone from being able to go through the door. So some really shots being traded out there by Mugging the Stars, but nothing doing just yet here on the outside trophy balcony.
But they are trying to pin these players down. Looks like we have a first fight coming up, but no shots were landed. The only person that's actually taking these damage is actually Fridge on the side of Vinacity, playing the Yana. Taking a little bit of damage, but not really much to write home about. Now, but we do have our first death going on. It's Caleb. Twisted taking out Caleb. That's the first kill of the game. First kill of the entire season as far as casting goes. So that is their first one off the board. We now have Vinacity and man advantage in this 5-4. Button is quickly traded out. Muggin taking out Twisted, put us back in that 4-4 situation. Only halfway through the round, but the fights keep going as Travis takes out Muggin.
Yeah, and to Chai's credit, it does look like they're refracking again there, so that's Stanky taking out Fridge with the C4. But it does, to their credit, look like they keep trying to trade each other out. So you're seeing a lot of kind of refrag attempts, but kind of an odd roam because they allow themselves to get trapped there by the trophy window and then just kind of stay stuck in trophy instead of falling off it. They just fought to the death. Still at 3v3, so not too bad, especially with 2 minutes wasted. And Stinky having a power position here and Study to look deep at red. So far, Chai looking pretty impressive here on defense.
Yeah, absolutely. And both these teams' ability right now to trade, and we've talked about a lot in prior seasons. I'm going to keep talking about it because it's so important in this game, is the ability to trade kills. You never want to allow the enemy team to kill someone on your team without punishing them for it. Take one of them away from them as well. That numbers game is so massive, and both these teams are doing a very, very good job of that right now. But we have another fight coming out as Taylor takes out Stars. Taylor just hiding prone behind that couch and honestly gets a freebie. Travis actually winning the fight against Sky and Tanklord taking out Taylor. So that puts us in a 1v2 situation. It's all up to Stanky. 1v2 against the Hibana, against his Zofia. He has full HP. Travis, a little less than half. He's got a little bit of a good advantage there, but it's still a 1v2. They know where he is. They drone him out, and they start pushing into him. They do some damage, and they take him out. Travis gets a final kill of the round. Vinacity winning that first round.
Yeah, and I'm really confused right now where the Meister cams were, and maybe they were both taken out, etc. But a lot of the information I feel like that your team probably had based on the death sequence that just happened, and then you just watched Stanky kind of just sprint into Aviator there after he got droned, rather than holding the power position. Because I mean, really, you're going to win that fight in Aviator unless they rotate over to Vault. So kind of an odd move by Stanky, especially with Chai being up so hard and then just dropping it. So I don't know if they need to work on over aggression or what. But it kind of seemed that, their early defense was played really aggressively, and then they kind of held that all the way back into the final 30 seconds, and it kind of bit them in the butt as they went down really quickly from a 3v3 with advantage down to a 1v3, and then Stanky just kind of sprinted in and died. So first round goes over to Vinacity, and Chai looking to bring it back here, especially with how defender-sided Villa is. But to do it, they're going to rotate over to Trophy Statue, though, so they're not going to repeat Aviator games, which is typically what most people consider to be the most defender-sided round site of the map.
Yeah, I'm honestly kind of surprised they didn't just repeat over on Aviator games. And you'll see a lot of teams when they lose a site on defense, they'll actually go back to the same site. And generally it's because they felt like they did something wrong. You'll see them just go right back to the same site and say, hey, let's remember what they did and let's just adjust what we did. And with it going down to a 1v2 like that and staying as close as it did through most of that round, I'm actually thoroughly surprised. But hey, I mean, maybe they just want to keep changing things out, keep it fresh, and that's fine. That's totally on them. This is honestly a really important site. There's really not any bad sites per se on Villa, so I'm cool with it. Let's keep things fresh, keep things changing up. But we do see another horizontal clear coming from Vinacity. They do like these clears, and that's awesome. If they can do it fast, they can gain a lot of control, which can really set them up for success later in this round.
Yeah, and it doesn't really look like Chai's going to try and contest the lateral push too much, as they're just looking to hang pretty tightly on to Master, Trophy, and Statue with a little bit of play underneath. So I'm curious to see how aggressively Caleb plays this, especially with not very much support on his top red to kind of hold the push from Trophy. Statue. He's going to take some damage, though, as a kind of a sacrifice for it. And we do see very closely Twisted kind of holding the cross and the cutoff. So that's going to force Caleb back into side, and that is the roam, laterally at least, gone within 50 seconds here.
Yeah, and this is actually something we saw a lot of from Chai last season. But we do it first coming out, Travis taking out Muggin. That's the first kill of the round. And again, that's Vinacity leading in that kill department so far already in that 5-4. But Chai last season, we saw a lot. They wouldn't really extend their own much. And I saw it last round. They did a little bit more roaming over around like the the astronomy side. And I was really happy to see that. It did seem like it worked out for him. So I'm a little disappointed we don't see a little more run game from him, but if that's their playstyle, it's their playstyle. Caleb taking a trade, taking out Twisted Stars, taking out Caleb though. Still in a 3v3, as Taylor takes out Travis.
Yeah, the aggression from Chai just keeps coming. So you really got to question whether Vinacity, has learned to maybe just calm down just a bit. And they have, as they're in Master, and Fridge takes out Taylor, and very quickly now trying to turn into Stinky in Bathroom. And if they can close this out, this could be yet another round for Vinacity, as they're working now very aggressively to get control of this Master side after kind of a stunted red push with Stars just being the only one remaining on that side.
Yeah, this is a very, very interesting round. The way this keeps playing out, and I will say, very good call by Vinacity. Jumping into that Master to just take control of that when they realized they honestly had it. Skywide taking out Stars, now puts us back in that 2v2, and taking out Fridge. Big double from Sky. The Danklord takes him back out. We're back to Stanky, last one alive, going against Danklord again, but it's a 1v1 this time. This is incredibly winnable. It doesn't seem like they know where he is. He's going to be able to sneak up on them as they try to get that diffuser. They're trying to fake it, though. They throw a diffuse. They throw a drone out. They're going to try to figure out what this guy is before this happens. So, but still, 30 seconds, 1v1. This is looking good for Stanky. Getting the diffuser down. Is he going to be able to stop this, or are they going to fake it? They do fake it. They know where he is now. This is what it's going to come down to. This 1v1. Dank knows he's not going to be able to stick this diffuser. Dank knows he's going to have to win this fight or hide. Stank's got a lot going for him. Dank goes to the other side, though. He's going to try to stick this diffuser. Stank has to know about this. He has to know that diffuser's actually getting stuck as well. Now it's anybody's game in this 1v1. Both these players are going to have to hunt each other down. Dank has had a really big advantage he did not have literally 10 seconds ago. Stank has got to pick something up quick.
Yeah, I just keep playing Ring Around the Rosie here. Is Stanky? I mean, I can't even believe he let Danklord get the kill off. As now they've traded sides once again. Dank back over in statue, and Stanky going for the defuse here and trying to bait the kill, but he's not really going to be able to close anything out as they trade shots yet again. Stanky only has 7 seconds to kill him before he's done a time on the defuse, and this is it. Yep, he does now. He's out of time whether he gets it or not, and that's round number 2 for Vinacity. So great play by Danklord, kind of rotating around what seemed to be yet again Chai advantage blown.
Yeah, and that's another one, man. I don't know. I honestly think I'd like to see a little more aggression, just a hair more coming from Stank. I understand when you're in a position like that, you don't want to be over aggressive. You do not want to be over aggressive. So I understand why Stank was playing that the way that he was, but a little more aggression, just literally a hair more, probably could have changed that entire round to the point of where it landed to Chai on that win. Because when you let them just go to the other side and just get the plant down, I mean, that was giving up the round, obviously, at that point. We do see IQ, it actually looks like being 6-pick getting teased, but it goes right back to the Ana. A lot of these teams that you'll notice as well like to run the same operators over and over again, and I mean, this is very common. They'll have a set strat they like to run, and they stick to it because they know it. They know it works, and they might fake a 6-pick to kind of get in the other team's heads, but then they'll a lot of times just go back to those same operators.
Yeah, and what's kind of interesting here is, again, I just doesn't seem like Chai is comfortable because, you know, they played the site. They honestly had the round until the final seconds, and then we see them rotate back over to Trophy Statue. That also goes down to the final seconds and yet another winnable round. And they blow that one, and then now we're back over to Aviator Games, where they're going to try it again with what seems to be pretty close to the same lineup, with the exception of a couple changes. And, you know, hopefully they don't blow man advantage. It seems like their aggression is working really well for them early in the round, but then it's falling apart. And what's important of the round count right now is a typical defensive split on Villa that is considered, you know, at least even or successful is a 4-2 split on defense, which means Vinacity has already hit the 2 rounds for them to be considered to have an average attacking half on Villa. So, you know, the more Vinacity continue to eat away here right now at the Chai defense, I mean, that's just looking more. And Stanky just another kind of brazen rotate here across the study window. So
yeah, that was a very sketchy rotate to see happen. You know that's going to be a really heavily contested spot. You know it's a kill spot, so that, you know, he had to be a little freaked out running across that. But a little change I do want to point out on the side of Chai. Vinacity, this is the exact same lineup we saw last time they attacked the site. Chai, on the other hand, on defense, this is very similar. They traded out the Vigil for a Legion, but they also traded out drastically who's playing these operators. Caleb is on Jaeger this time. Muggin's on Bandit this time. Taylor's on Maestro, and Stanky's on Legion. This is, on the other than Sky being on Malusi, this is, and Taylor being Maestro, sorry, this is incredibly different lineup. So this is showing a lot of versatility, but sometimes the versatility can be good. Sometimes it can actually be bad, because that versatility could potentially mean you don't have a really set way to go yet.
And when you're, especially when you're kind of looking at who's on what right now, actually both opening kills in the rounds thus far, now this one as well, so that's 3 straight rounds. The opening kill has gone to Vinacity. So even with the aggression that Chai is playing, and Muggin trades it back out there on Travis now, the aggression is just still not panning out, and they're losing the initial gunfights, which we all know how important kind of that initial frag is. As Fridge and Twisted both go back down, though, and Stinky and Caleb put themselves back in a man advantage. But we've seen this before. Stanky with a double kill on the Stars, and now all up to Danklord, who managed to survive last round. So excited to see how he can 1v4 this without giving Chai their very first round of the matchup.
Yeah, Dake's seeming right now like he's kind of out of choices. You know, he does have the diffuser, but he's down to about 50 HP. He thinks there's someone behind him, but I don't think there is. And he's going to have to take 4 fights if he wants to win this out. He does take out 1 as he does take Caleb, but he's still got a 3v1, and he still only has that 50 HP to make this happen. This is already, obviously, should be Vinacity's, not Vinacity, sorry, it should be Chai's round to win. And this is their round. This is their first round. They got to win this one, of course. And now they're just hitting up with these evil eyes as well. They ain't going even further down on the HP pool. So he's going to try to get in here, but he's going to have a lot of crossfires to take. It's, all of these players are waiting for him. And I'm assuming we're going to see Muggin swing.
15 seconds left.
Yeah, and he's swinging in here trying to get any shot he can, but actually the Maestro cam almost going to close him out, and the Maestro now they're able to close out as Taylor gets another kill, and that's the round for Chai. So now 1-2 in the first half of their defensive half, and Chai looking a little bit stronger, but still kind of concerning from kind of the push. We talked at the very beginning that kind of teamwork, strategy, and structure are Villa in a nutshell, and especially on Statue Trophy, we saw Vinacity use like approximately 0 of their attacking utility and still pull that round out. So I'm still kind of concerned for Chai here as we rotate back over to Trophy Statue. Is pretty afraid that Vinacity might just try to gun through the round again and still be able to beat Chai out if they're not careful.
Yeah, we do see a clash looking like it's going to actually be 6 picked. And I was going to say, nope, 6 picked over to an Ella. And Ella's a little more of an interesting operator to see in competitive play. She is very fun to play, don't get me wrong. I have a blast anytime I play Ella, but utility-wise speaking, it's generally, she doesn't bring a lot to the table. A lot of times if you're going to have a roamer for the sake of having a 3-speed, you might bring a Vigil, because that amazing anti-drone utility. Maybe you'll bring something along the lines of like an Alibi, so you can bring a deployable shield, which we do see in the way of Ella, and that could have been their mindset, to just say, hey, pick a 3-speed of a deployable shield and run it. But either way, we don't see Ella a whole lot, but if Caleb can come live and just take fights with her, then I can't argue it, you know? You can't argue success.
Well, and I will also say something to note here, looking at kind of the score spread here. Chai is doing a pretty decent job of spreading the kills out across the team. We're looking over Vinacity, even though they have the round count, it's really on the back of Danklord and Travis, and especially when you have Fridge and Twisted both kind of playing that flex entry / second entry role, really looking to get some more kills out on their entries aside from Travis, who so far has had an extremely good game. Also, up 2-0 on entry as well for him throughout the game. So good stats there from him personally, but looking for Vinacity to kind of spread it out maybe a little bit more here, else they could start to struggle if their injuries start faltering.
Yeah, absolutely. And those entries have been so good for Nasty. I mean, as good as they've gotten it every single round up until now, as Travis is actually the opening death for once. So, great job. They're getting the opening kill now on the Chai side, but he gets traded out. Twisted takes out Mug and puts us back in this 4v4. What I talked about earlier are these two teams not giving each other literally anything. I mean, it's so hard for them to take one and take another and not get traded out very quickly. So great job on that. Caleb is getting thrown out like crazy. They know exactly where he is, and they're going to try to push this. But he's going to hold on to 90 with his life, and I don't blame him. 90 is a very strong power position, and you do not want to give that up if you don't have to.
Well, and again, we're kind of just watching the attackers, aside from yeeting their drones in at the defenders, at least until right now, kind of just muscle their way through the roam here, but finally able to cut off there as Twisted gets a kill from top red, trying to even it out a little bit more, but now stuck between a rock and a hard places with Shield and both Trophy and Statue are both looking at him here. And the rotate coming back to Master for Vinacity yet again, so kind of a repeat of their attacking strategy 2 rounds ago on the same site.
Yeah, and that does actually put Vinacity in the man advantage now, though, with the 3-4 position. And Stanky taking some damage, and now we're in a 4-2 position, and quickly a 4-1 position, as it's now up to the captain, Sky Y, in this 1v4, and he quickly loses it out. As I'm saying, that Vinacity takes their 3rd round for this. They're already at a positive split as far as all things are concerned.
And it's really blowing me away how much Vinacity is literally just relying on gunfights to win every round. We're going to go into a technical timeout here as one of the players working on their Discord. But, for right now, I really want to talk about kind of Chai's play there. Because if you look at the breakdown, they literally had a shield with a player on it at every single entrance that Vinacity walked in, and they just face checked the shields, didn't destroy a single shield, and still won every fight. So I don't know if that's a discipline problem and over peaking, under peaking, or if that's just Vinacity is that much better than Chai.
Yeah, and I'm very curious about that as well because we do see kind of a lack of utility being used from Vinacity on that side of attack, as Midas has mentioned, but it doesn't seem like it's hurting. I mean, it really doesn't. It doesn't seem like Vinacity is really having to deal with using that utility when they could just use their guns. We do see some solid running. I mean, every time almost it seems like we've seen someone from Chai die, we can pretty well tell that they were droned out. I mean, drones are on them like crazy, non-stop throughout the round. So that information is huge, but then when you're only having to use information to take these fights, especially on a map like Villa that is so structured, especially when you're playing multiple operators that have deployable shields to bring and bulletproof utility like crazy, and you're not really having to deal with that bulletproof utility, instead you just go in and drone someone out, take the fight, win. That's kind of crazy. And again, it might not mean that Chai is just not doing great right now. It could very well mean that Vinacity is just clicking heads.
Yeah, and really not that I like to ding on specific players, but especially on that round, you really got to rely on your SMG 11 shotgun players to win fights from behind shields at point blank range, and that just wasn't happening for Chai. And especially even looking at the Vinacity drone work, it seems like both these teams are still struggling on some of the teamwork aspect. It looks like Venacity's got the structure down. It seems like their attack is pretty fluid every single time they attack the same way. So clearly they have some form of a plan. But even when they were droning, it just seems like they were slamming, especially your player in 90 with the Ella, which was correct me if I'm wrong, it's Caleb, right? So Caleb 90 on the Ella, I shot like 4 drones before anybody even decided to peek him, and it seemed like really nobody was following the drones on Vinacity for at least a good period of time. So it seemed like maybe a little overuse even of drones there on Caleb, and kind of a pet peeve of mine when people just yeet drones at people rather than trying to keep them alive.
Yeah, absolutely. And there were some things I could have probably picked apart as well, of the fact that I believe that vault wall was actually soft, and they did end up blowing it up, if I recall. But that is one thing that, you have one person trying to push down that long haul going towards the 90 from the game's door. But that is almost a death sentence. I mean, as long as your player playing 90 doesn't just miss their shots, that is almost a free kill for the 90 player. But that vault wall, if you get that open, all of a sudden that person playing 90 is in a crap situation. They're in a very, very bad spot because they can't play 90. They can play close to 90, but they can't play 90. They have to push back at least slightly, and now they're exposed to those top red stairs. So that is one where a lot of that going on with those drones, they could have probably been a little more aggressive and been a little more aggressive on a pinch. And all this is speculation, also in the sense of Vinacity did end up winning the round. So while we could tear them apart on piece by piece and things, oh, they could have done better, they won the round. So, all things worth considering. Uh, you can nitpick things as much as you like, but if you win the round, and I can't say too much, we do have a player though that is currently restarting the computer on the side of Vinacity. They're having some issues, I believe, with Discord, so that's why this technical timeout was actually called. So that's all we're waiting for.
Well, and one of the things that we even looked at on the China defense is it seems that they love to send roamers off in kind of these power positions, but then with no support on the flanks. And we saw them in the very first round of Aviator Games roaming Trophy Statue, and they were cut off immediately from Statue, from Astro, and then from Trophy Window, whatever you guys call it, on the Cubby. And then in the last round, we also saw them get cut off from top red, which is actually where the kill from 90 came from. So Caleb actually died from red. And so, just maybe Chai needs to take a second, calm down, and look back at some of their strategies and realize, maybe we need to assist some of these extended roams. So if we're going to waste at least one person, let's not just make him a free kill and let's put 2 people out there and make it worth something. Let's hold the cutoff on red and 90 as kind of a power play to manage the fallback. Because theoretically, your 90 guy needs to be retreating before your guy top red does. And Venacity's taking full advantage of Chai not extending to support its roamers right now. And it's really showing, especially being up 3-1 after Chai eSports had a man advantage for most of those rounds early on.
Yeah, and something I do want to talk out that is kind of an elephant in the room is last season we did cast for Chai twice in official games, but in those games they do get 7-0'd both times. And one of the large, I guess, blaring reasons that did happen, because there's so many rounds where it seems like they probably could have taken it. was almost arguably solely because they didn't have a good roam presence. We do see them starting to have some form of roam presence now, and I'm very, very excited to see that. That is obvious improvement on their end. Last season, we saw that they honestly just would never roam. You would just not see any form of roaming whatsoever. But this season, we do see some roam presence, and that's good. That's obvious improvement. Now, if we could see them take that roam presence and back it up, or maybe don't give it up before they should. Things here and there just keep improving on, and that is something that is really good. I'm glad to see them starting to roam, but obviously they still need more practice on that because that is definitely a weak point.
Yeah, and it looks like we are going to have to go into a full rehost here as the player is unable to join back in the lobby. So, again, continue to bear with us here as we work through the players' problems and get them back into the lobby and back underway. And just a reminder, it is, again, up 3-1. So, Vinacity 3, Chai eSports 1, with 2 rounds left in the Chai half. And, again, we talked about earlier how the defenders really need to come out on the half at 4-2. And obviously incapable of doing that now. So Chai really needs to pull back maybe, these last 2 rounds and get it back into a 3v3 if they have any hope of kind of cracking the nut to get the victory here once they switch over to attack.
Yeah, if we go to this next half and Vinacity manages to hold on to the round lead, this is going to look very, very hard for Chai. And I mean, this could be a game where it's just an attacker-sided Villa, and we have seen it happen. And it can be very unpredictable, especially when you're going against these teams that are more fresh to the scene. You can never know fully what to expect, but at the same time, while it can be unpredictable, it's also there's a reason you don't expect that to happen. I mean, Villa is generally speaking defender sided. So if Chai doesn't pull up 2 more rounds, this is going to look very, very grim for them. And they're going to have to just wake up in a big way going into their attacking side to make something happen here. Now, as might have stated, we are having to do a rehost. The player that actually had to cause the tactical timeout for Discord issues, it was not able to reconnect to the game. So we're going to get this started. You're going to see it looks like kills are actually going to be reset, and that's unfortunate. Always sucks to see that, but obviously the scoreline won't. And I would like to reiterate something that might have said at the very beginning in the analyst segment, is that there is no overtime. So if we go to 6-6, both teams get 1 point. If it doesn't go to 6-6, if a team wins, then the winning team gets 3 points, the losing team gets 0 points. And if this being so early on in the season, we've seen a lot of teams go on and basically just tie every game. So it's going to be very, really important. Get as many of those 3-pointers as you can so you can make it to the playoffs.
Yeah, definitely. Especially with only I've six games on the season. Every game is going to count. So this one game could really at the end of the season actually be the difference between a playoff spot and not one. So really every team has to come out and show up every single week, especially in a series of best ones.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're getting these players in now, and hopefully we're going to get in going very quickly. Hopefully some of these players that have SSTs. But aside from that, something I would like to mention is that now that we're going back to where everyone has 0 kills, that I would like to point out that it is National Donut Day. And so we're going to see everyone with a fresh donut on the screen. And considering there's only 10 people and not 12, it's a little disappointing. We won't get a healthy dozen, but that's okay. So we're going to get 10 fresh donuts on the screen. It is National Donut Day. I know it's a little late, but that's all right. It's never too late to enjoy a not fresh donut at this point, but it's never too late to enjoy one. So go out, grab one. If you have one within 5 seconds of you. And if you don't, then don't leave the stream. Keep watching, because if you leave, you're going to miss a very, very fun game.
Yeah, and I think you also made a really good point earlier too. When you look at the operator lineups, we see the Vinacity again extremely structured, playing over and over and over again the same ops for the most part, right? So we see Stars very clear flank player for the most part, Danklord their absolute hard breach player, and then Fridge kind of also one of their flex, and then you have Travis and Twisted on entry. And even in those roles, except for Fridge, really, they've played the exact same operator every single round almost. And then you rotate over to Chai, and you just really honestly looking at the operator lineup have no idea what's even going on. They they are all rotating roles as they go through. So I think again we were kind of concerned about at the beginning, but significantly less structure coming out from Chai than we've seen from Vinacity thus far on Villa.
Yeah, and we're having to extend time out a little bit. We're having some technical difficulties of our own now. um, Either way, though, yeah, and there's a lot that is very interesting. These are two polar opposite teams, as Midas stated, with the operators, and we've got. I want to go back on this. We've only seen two sides: trophy and statue, trophy and statue, over and over and over again. But if you look at Vinacity, Stars has played zero all but one round. Danklord has played Hibana all but one round. Travis has played Zofia all but one round, and we're taking that one round as the round that actually hasn't happened. The round that they were actually just picking operators just now. So it's safe to say they're actually going to change that out. A little fluke from my end, but they've played the same operators every single round, other than Fridge, who's been doing more of a flex role, obviously, and changing out. You know, he's played Yana, Jackal, Yana, Buck. So that is obviously something where he's playing these different operators. If they feel like they are having trouble with roam clear, okay, let's bring the Jackal. Oh, they're not doing as enough for roam. Okay, maybe let's go back to the Yana and just use that and kind of use as a free drone. Go in, just try to trade out the Yana. Oh, we need a little soft reach here. Let's bring that Buck. But other than that, everyone's bringing the exact same operator, and having one person that changes your operator depending on what you feel like you need is normal. It's very normal, and I would say very good. Um, the ability to flex onto different operators as you need it is always good. It's always admirable, but it's also not always good in the sense of if that's not what you need to be doing, you don't need to do that. If you don't have a super comfortable base to play off of, then changing it after it is not going to be good. It's potentially going to make things worse for you. It's going to make you more unpredictable, sure, but it's also going to make it where you're constantly just changing your own ways. And you got to figure out your base. You got to get that base and then get better from there.
Yeah, and even with the Fridge switch 6 pick onto Buck in that last round we saw right before the rehost, I almost wonder if they expected Chai to go downstairs after again, losing trophy statue and only winning Aviator games once upstairs. Maybe they thought, okay, hey, fourth round, maybe they'll try downstairs once. Let's bring the Buck just in case, because that would have been their only pure, vertical destruction operator. Considering only Buck and Sledge there for that. But so that also could have been a fact that maybe they had to think through a bit. So
Right, yeah, and you can never really tell. We can sit here and cast and speculate all day, but we can never really tell exactly what's going on in the team's minds. We can't hear their comms. We don't know what they're thinking. But then going back to like say, I want to go back to China. We have seen Caleb play a different operator every single round. Vigil, then Malusi, then Jaeger, then Ella. We have seen Muggin play three different operators: Jaeger, Vigil, and Bandit twice. Taylor has played Maestro and Jaeger all game. Stanky has played Bandit, Bandit, Legion, and Smoke. And then Skyway has played Malusi and just Goyo. Sorry. So having two different operators you play when you've only gone to two different sites is incredibly normal. That is very, very normal. Having never played the same operator twice on defense when you've only gone to two different sites is not normal at all. that's really irregular to see. And so I'll be curious to see if following today, maybe we're gonna see them um maybe change out a little more structure, because we've seen them already get better on things in the sense of starting to roam now, whereas last season we didn't see that. And they've already picked up a round from it, and they've had a lot of very, very close rounds. This is by no means a far off game, even though it's 3-1 right now, with the attackers being up 3. This is still almost every round has gone very, very close. So this could technically still be anyone's game.
yeah, and I wonder also how much kind of the new meta has to do with maybe the attacker sided, half we're seeing thus far. Obviously, I'm acknowledging right now that at least performance wise, Vinacity has performed both statistically and just kind of, observationally better than Chai has. But at the same time, Siege is seeing a pretty big meta change right now in a switch to attacker sided, not only maps, right? But seeing a switch to attacker sided everything just across the board. Utility usage with the reworks they're doing. Eventually they're also kind of opening up Malusi gadgets to be shot when you're in the proximity. They're reworking Goyo, and they're editing a lot of the glass gadgets like mirrors and maestros. So you're seeing kind of the need for utility that's been there over the past 2 years to slowly be decreasing, especially in the next season as it comes up. But this season right now, I mean, even with Ash with 3 breach charge or breaching rounds, obviously that's going away. But there's a lot of utility on the attacking half. And again, not that Venacity's had to use it, but I think the meta is starting to shift. And so, maybe those 3-3 halves are becoming a little bit more normal, and we're just maybe not used to it yet.
Yeah, and it's very Siege is in such a weird place right now with these meta changes that are being pushed. And a lot of these meta changes, and something I would actually like to talk about is the recent Six Invitational that happened. The only reason I would like to talk about that is Latin America won. And Latin America, they didn't just win, they dominated a lot of the Six Invitational. And the only reason that's relevant to me is because Latin America is known for their very aggressive siege play. This new meta can really favor teams that really, really just do well in that aggressive siege play. Especially not only if it being the way the meta is being designed, but just being a new meta and teams haven't been able to find sure footing in it yet. So anytime there's uncertainty, more aggressive teams tend to do pretty good. Anytime there is something pushing for something like, hey, let's try to kill some of this utility burn, more aggressive teams are going to do better. And Latin America really, really showed that at the recent Six Invitational, and that could be something we're seeing right now. Vinacity could just be a team that really, really bathes in that aggression, and we're seeing them. They're sending drones out like crazy. Maybe they're not always jumping on that drone intel as fast as they should, but they're obviously doing well enough that they're not having to clear out utility as much as you would have needed to maybe like 2 seasons ago. So it's really hard to say on a lot of things because of the way the meta is shifting.
Yeah, and you can also tell that they're expecting a little bit more difficult of a roam clear against Chai as well, especially, so we're going back Trophy Statue again. So this could be their third loss on Trophy Statue. But, I think this will be a good round to kind of see how, if they try something different, if China's that is, because again, Vinacity, I think, is expecting them to play much more difficult over on the Aviator Games side, because you can tell when they stack all 5 players on that side for drones and entry pushing, they're like, hey, objective number 1 is to get up to 90 and red. And we see them do that really, really quickly, and then still have so much time to rotate over to master, rethink their strategy, and then try to go for the execute. Not playing as much vertical play from below as maybe we normally see to kind of get the utility off the statue wall, but at the same time, it just seems like they're not used to having this much time, and they're just bathing in it, plus their aggression, and so just kind of everything's working in Venacity's direction right now. So hopefully Chai can change this up here, and it looks like they are going to roam just a little bit heavier here on this Aviator Games side.
5 seconds to
Yeah, and an interesting 6 pick as well as Fridge, and what we were just talking about recently, Fridge being very flexible on bringing different operators. This is another operator. This is the 4th operator we've seen him play today. Fridge actually going over and picking the... Oh, 3rd. I'm sorry. They did originally 6 pick over to line. He went back to Jackal. I'm just blind. Either way, though, that Jackal, great pick. So they're going to try to clear out this roam, and as Midas just stated, maybe they're a little more weight on the roam that's going out. And it's hard to say, seeing Chai go back to Trophy is actually surprising. If I was the team captain of Vinacity right now, I would not have expected that, just as Muggin did not expect that. Did not expect that player to come in straight at him and just take that fight. Now, they know that they're going to have to deal with this Ella on 90 again, but it doesn't matter as Twisted takes out Sky. The players of Chai are just getting taken out, and they're getting ripped apart.
Well, and you could tell that like they had everything go in their favor. Maybe they were listening to the cast between the rehost, and they put somebody red, and they're trying to hold it to prevent the flank. But then you watch Muggin literally full sprint into study instead of just holding the angle, which is all he had to do. And this is an entirely different round. And all of a sudden, Twisted has the angle, but Stanky actually going to get a C4 kill out on Twisted and run for the flank up main here. So this could prove huge for Chai, but he's gonna have to be careful and do it quick if he wants anything to do it. But at the same time, Star is using some of that good flex/flank watch utility there on 0 and dropping a cam main to get him off of it.
Yeah, and I was actually really excited to see Stanky on that roam and see what he's going to do. He's actually going to come up Astro now and be able to back up his team as he does have some more teammates here, but they know where a lot of these players are. And it's actually curious to see a lot of these red pings just being spammed right now on these master players. That has to be nerve-wracking for those master players, but not as nerve-wracking as getting downed when you're in astronomy. Taylor going down, your Maestro going down. One of the strongest defenders in this game right now is currently down. They have the ability to get him up, but unless they do, it's a 2v4 situation. And they know where Ella is because they see her gun. It's all up to Stanky now in a 1v4 because he's not going to be able to get my drop. And he does get my drop. I'm completely wrong. I'm blind. Stanky, 1v4 against my doesn't matter because he dies. He's got to win this out in this terrible situation. But they're hunting him down. They're pinching him out. They know exactly where he is. The pre-fire comes through. Fridge takes it. That's a 4th round win for Vinacity. And the 4th time they have won trophy.
Yeah, and it just, I mean, again, just pointing out the entry statistics. Travis now up 3-1 himself on entry with his team. Vinacity up 4-1 on entry. And Chai just being overly, I don't even say overly aggressive because we just talked about how sometimes maybe in this new meta that aggression is a good thing with Latin, but they're just being careless with their movements. It's not even necessarily they're aiming. They're losing fights that they're not even looking at. We saw it twice that round, both as we had just a couple players there rotate, Taylor on the Maestro, and then also, the Doc playing top red, which I think was Caleb, playing, or no, it wasn't Caleb, it was Muggin, sorry, playing top red. They just ran into study, and both of those guys, if they just sit and hold the angle they know they're watching, they win the fight and maybe pull up the round. But you could tell when Stanky came up Astro, he's like, hey, like I got guys in Mastro for sure. Obviously, there's 2 red pinks there. And then Taylor got excited, he's like, all right, cool, I'm gonna come peek it with you instead of holding his angle and immediately dies. And that's the same thing we see over and over again. So maybe it's individual players trying to get kills and being careless, or maybe it's just teamwork and coordination / communication that's just not happening at all. So they don't have an idea of what movements are happening at the same time, and they're over peeking each other. But either way, it's something that I think Chai has got to fix if they want to have any chance at making it to playoffs this season, just already, because it seems like a fatal flaw, not just their gun skill.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would like to correct myself on something there as well. I said it's the 1st time they win trophy, it's the 3rd time they win trophy. Then either way, I don't believe they have not lost trophies. So in the same sense, it doesn't really matter. Now we're going back to Aviator and Games. We have only seen Chai bring these 2 sites this entire game on their defensive half, and this is their final round on that defensive half. And to see Stinky's already taking a little bit of damage as well. Yeah, I'd really like to see, maybe the players that try, maybe it's a communication. Maybe they need to communicate more, get a little more clear with each other on what's going on. Maybe back each other up more. Maybe they could just be nervous. I mean, it's the first game of the season, it could be nerves getting to them. There's no telling what exactly is the issue, but there's something going on that's hurting them. Not as quite as Travis is hurting them. Travis is hurting them very bad right now as he keeps getting these opening kills. That is actually his 4th opening kill, and this is only round 6, of course, so he is doing great. You can always count on Travis to go through and just pick the first fight and win it. Now, players are Chai, down in a 4-5 situation.
Sky able to get a C4 there onto Travis, so Travis finally shut down, at least in the past couple rounds here, putting it back into a 4v4 as Chai attempts to kind of recover themselves with. We also see Stanky on the flank once again, and Sky still holding his power position, sitting top red. So Chai, a lot of life left him, especially with the Maestro cannons being so masterfully played there by Taylor to kind of burn some drone and utility, and slowing that push down towards the 90 and top red side as we do see Sky finally try to rotate over and come back up the main side. But Twisted now getting aggressive here on 90, taking the peak, but losing it out as they actually disregard. They actually trade that. Now back into a 3v3, and Sky into another kill with Stars, and now into 3v2. Chai finally have an advantage for the first time in what seems like a few rounds.
Oof, and it almost got even worse as we saw Fridge try to repel in that window and almost lose his life for it. Now, we're in this 3v2 situation, health and man advantage, and this is going to be a really rough one now for Vinacity, but whether they lose this round or not, they're going through their attacking half in a 4-2 split minimum, and it looks like now it is Chai's round as Sky picks up another kill. Sky did really good on this round, and I'm really happy to see maybe all that technical timeout, maybe that made them pick things up a little bit, maybe they got in their heads a little bit. But either way, it seems like they came through and they managed to fix something on their end. We caught a little more aggression out, maybe some little intel coming out. Either way, that was the first half. We're seeing Vinacity go into the second half now with a 4-2 split going into defense.
Yeah, a little bit of a skin usage confusion here. It looks like actually on both teams is Dank is sitting on the elite mute coming into the 7th round. But yeah, Vinacity at the 4-2 on attack, so kind of reversing the attack defense role here and going up 4-2. So looking forward to a quick 3 rounds here on defense. But
Attackers
So
need to
something I
locate
would
and
like to
defuse as many
explain.
bombs as they can.
There is a lot of rules based on like what skins you can and cannot bring. It looks like Mute might actually about to be just killing himself. I can't really tell. There is a lot of rules on what you can and cannot do as far as skins go, and that's for the sake of making sure everything is as even as possible. So certain skins are known, people hate them for the abilities they bring on making use like the camouflage. The skins that are allowed are things along the lines of like Pro League skins. Pro League skins are fun because in all honesty, if you wear a Pro League skin, you're probably making yourself an even bigger target. Or ideally just default skins. And there's a lot of reasons for that. It's your ability to blend in sometimes. Sometimes it's so you can better be identified. You know, someone shoots you and they kill a mute. It's easy to tell if it was a mute they killed, and it wasn't like they don't have any confusion about who it was they just shot from like 100 meters away or whatever. So there's a lot of reasons certain skins are banned in competitive play.
yeah, and kind of an interesting note that Vinacity's starting over on trophy statues. You can tell extremely confident here on their defensive setup to not start on aviator games, which again we talked about is the most prevalent site on defense thus far. But again, it looks like Chai really doesn't know what's going on. Danklor, long SMG-11 shot there onto Stanky deep onto top main, and the defensive team here, Muggin, closing out on Twist back into a 4v4, and shots continually going down as Chai is just yeeting themselves down these halls to try to take control of AVG.
Yeah, and I really want to point out here, I mean, we're less than a minute in, and it's going to a 4-4 already, and these teams are just blasting at each other. And also, I'd like to point out right now, what's going to be very hard for Chai, as I say that, they take down a lot of people. Doesn't matter. It's in a 4v1. I was going to point out that they're having to deal with a mute and a Mozzie. That's like the cursed duo when you're trying to drone places out, but it doesn't matter if you're just going to go through and shoot everybody. Muggin gets his third kill for the round. We're in a 4v1. It's all the stars on this L. He's got a pistol out. He does manage to take out Sky, but he's still got a 3v1 situation. He still has his pistol out as well. The Diffuser is going down, but this is going to be a very hard fight for him as they know exactly where he is. He's going to try to push the fight. Diffuser goes down. He's got like 30 seconds, but he doesn't even have his life, so it doesn't matter. Chai takes their first attacking round.
Yeah, what a string of kills there by Muggin to bring it back into Chai. Now, 3v4 doesn't seem so bad, and maybe we are wrong, and maybe Villa's turned completely on its head and is on an attacker-sided string here as it just continues going neck and neck, and everything that we said bad about Chai on defense, Vinacity just took and absolutely repeated.
Yeah.
It just,
yeah. There's a lot there that was really odd. I mean, some of these fights that rang out in the way of Chai winning, shouldn't have happened. I mean, I don't know a better way to say that. It seems like a lot of those fights just should not have played out either at all or in the way that they played out. Something I do want to kind of explain for people that may be kind of new to competitive Siege or even honestly a higher rank Siege a lot of times. Roamer's role. What roamers do in this game. A lot of people when they're new to a game or that come from Call of Duty or something, they may think that a roamer's job is to get kills. But they're not really. If you get a kill, that's a really great byproduct of roaming. But a roamer's job is to kill time. In all honesty, what you want to do on defense is just kill as much time as possible. Because the more time you kill, the less time the attackers have to go in and put that diffuser down. And therefore, the more they have just to rush it out and make massive mistakes. So, sometimes killing time can be for the sake of utility, it can be for the sake of shooting drones. A lot of it is for the sake of making the attackers scared or unable to push through something. And those long hallways on Villa to push 90 are one thing that should almost be impossible to do half the time.
Yeah, and an initial kill gonna come out there by Fridge through a bolt hole on the window, and that's Caleb. The Twitch and the F2 gone right off the bat, and this extended roam already off to a good start here for Vinacity. But, you know, you actually mentioned it earlier, how a lot of teams have been doing and trying this new hold, or extended hold, I guess, on AVG into study with the wall open. They're actually trying that right now, and you're seeing a lot of cool new utility come out with the laser gates by Travis, and that's, you know, just another form of utility burn. So we see ADSs, we see Arena gates, all placed to kind of protect these three shields, both, you know, Stars' spicy shields and Danklord's as well.
Yeah, now it does look like we're going to see another trade coming out as we have a player actually coming through Master. It is Sky himself. So a lot of these attackers now, I believe they actually know exactly where this Jaeger is, but he actually peeks when they don't expect him to. They're trying to clear him out now. They're trying to pinch him, but it looks like he's actually moved back. Yeah, he's moved back to around statue side. So he's proving very, very elusive. They're having trouble hunting him down. They do actually manage to take out Twisted now. And more fights are just ringing out, though. We're in a 3v3 situation. Double kill coming out from Fridge. 3v3 now, halfway through the round. This is another round that's proving that these teams have trouble shaking each other in kill department a lot of times. Stars taking out Stinky that puts us in a 2v3 situation, favoring Vinacity.
Yeah, and you know, there at that 3v3 at least, it seemed like we found ourselves in the exact same situation that we did the first time we saw this site AVG, you know, in the beginning grounds there of Chai's defense. Vault's now going to open up, and Sky and Taylor attempting to, again, recreate the exact situation that they lost, you know, early at the beginning of the round. And Danklord, Travis, and Stars, we're going to have to hold this off, but coming in, Sky's going to close Stars out, and Travis with this deep flank on main, really going to be the one that's going to have to hold this out. But if he's not careful, this is over, and he's going to catch Taylor on the drone, and now Sky left alone and unafraid against Dank and Travis here in 1v2.
Attackers have recovered their defuse.
Yeah, Sky alone in this 1v2 is his offie, and he's going to be pushing up on a very, very strong shotgun. He's going to push up on it hard, and Dank punishes him for that. Dank just pops him once right in the head of that SAS shotgun, and really shows why you don't want to get up close and personal with it. That was technically a winnable round for Skies, and honestly, I wouldn't have been too surprised to see him pull it out. But it did not happen. He was still at the disadvantage, and he was able to pull through with it. Now we're at a 3-5 split. Vinacity is one round away from match point. So, again, Vinacity on defense. This is still their game. This is still their game, technically, to lose in our reality, because they're heavily in the lead in a lot of ways. I know it only seems like 2 rounds, but they're defending on vanilla with a 2 round. So this is really, really solid for them now. I'm really curious to see what we can do going forward. We do see Taylor's Bay actually 6-picking over from the Kali going on to the Ace, and Ace is one that you see a lot, not only on Villa, but everywhere. He's such a strong operator.
Yeah, especially with, you know, before they took his smokes away, right? So up until, you know, just recently, he had smokes plus the highest DPS gun theoretically in the game, plus, you know, the ability to hard breach. And so, you know, all that combined made him extremely, extremely powerful. So that was a little too much. So if you're not keeping up with the kind of the patch note changes, they took the smokes away from him and put them on the thermite to kind of level it out, even though, you know, they both still have kind of their independent uses. So I'm not going to go into a dissertation on hard breach right now, because you'll get me going for about half an hour. But Ace is an extremely strong operator, and one that we see a lot of, you're right, on comp play. But right now, Vinacity looked like recreating the exact same setup. They lost pretty decisively against Chai, you know, right before they went on Aviator, with seeming both teams having a penchant for completely avoiding downstairs play at all, which, you know, thus far now 9 rounds in, we've seen absolutely 0 of.
Yeah, absolutely. And something else is worth noting with that hard breach conversation going, we see Hibana and an Ace, both with the ranged hard breachers coming in, and ranged hard breach on Villa is very, very strong, and the ability to open up, say, the statue wall. Or, yeah, the statue wall going from Master, or the study wall if you're attacking that side. Your ability to do that from windows, your ability to do that from range, your ability to do that from safety is really good. But these players of Vinacity are not safe at all, because they're just getting gunned down. Twisted and Travis are both off the board. Travis being that player that's been showing up big all game, and he's getting taken out very early on, and that's really, really good, especially with Dank going out as well. Now, we're already at a 5-2, only a minute through the round, by the way. Sky going down, and that's good because Sky's been showing up as well. Caleb going down. Now we're at a 3-2. What is going on, guys? This is nuts. These guys cannot shake each other.
Yeah, and finally put it back into a 2v2, but the plan's still going to go down here for by Taylor and Fridge and Stars, the last two alive, and that's, you know, a handgun plus an MP5, so not too much to do, but with the plant down now, they have a very limited amount of time. The shots are going to come out as Fridge puts Taylor on a sliver of health. The shotgun traded out, and Stars goes down against Taylor. Fridge closes on the Stanky, and it is a winnable round here for Fridge as Taylor on a sliver of health, and Doc MP5, you know, quite a bit of damage there, plus the hard ping. So this is looking pretty good, but not able to close it out as even with the red hard ping, Taylor still closes out on the Fridge, and that's another trophy statue victory for Chai. And you know, I wonder what that round would have been like if, you know, maybe they hadn't been hard pinging on that Valcam. You know, we talk about kind of discipline on cameras that, you know, learn your callouts. That's, you know.
Well, there's a lot of things I'm curious about there. I'm going to start off with pointing out one thing that's very important. They had a Doc. Doc is not a super common operator you bring in competitive play. And while it did get this some health up, and they brought it down to a this 1-1 situation. And I'm going to be real here. I thought Fridge was going to win that. I thought that was going to be a Vinacity round, if I'm being completely honest. But either way, the Doc pick was already kind of odd. And you mentioned they're hard pinging with a cam, and I'm kind of curious what cam that was, because they did have a Mozzie. The Mozzie was the only intel operator, so that's assuming they caught a drone and that it was left up. If not, the only ping that could have come from was a default cam on 90.
Yeah, so it looked like it was a Mozzie drone underneath the red bench.
Okay. I was very, very curious about that, because if they caught the Mozzie drone, that's awesome, and it really sucks that the attackers not managed to deal with that quickly enough. But like I said, the only other option would have been that default cam, and if it was a default cam, that would have been really, really bad. So if it's a Mozzie cam, that's definitely a lot more understandable. But what is more important to me right now, this is the first time all night we're seeing first floor get played. We're seeing dining get played right now, and I am so happy about that.
Yeah, it only took 10 rounds, and I think both teams figuring out that they couldn't pull off Trophy Statue, and really a lot of it has to do with both teams' inability to manage an Aviator game side push. I feel like just so many teams are prepared for, you know, like, hey, they're just going to come master and they're going to eat themselves at us, but, you know, oftentimes many teams just forget about having to manage against an extended roam, you know, lateral push from Aviator Games, and that really makes or breaks a lot of defenses. And I mean, especially with Vinacity, as well as they did on attack, you know, I figured they'd be okay on defense, but them also just following immediately to Muggin, spearheading this Chai attack on that side. So hopefully a little bit better here, trying to defend against this lateral master push now that they're playing finally Dining Kitchen.
Yeah, now Vigil does get droned out, and while he was activated, they surely know that at least kind of where he is. Fridge gets the opening kill for the round and takes out Muggin. That puts us back in a situation where the defenders are on that man advantage, but it puts us back in a situation where it doesn't matter because they get traded out by Sky. Vigil off the board now. 1 minute to the round. Sky gets his second kill, taking out Travis. Man advantage goes to Chai now, and he gets traded out again. These teams do not give each other anything for free. It's a constant trade. It's a constant cause and effect. Push, pull, over and over again. These teams are doing a very, very good job at that. I have to commend them. And that is awesome to see. A wasted C4 going to Caleb does do some damage, but not quite as much as he would like. But he does a job with the shotgun anyways.
Yeah, you don't see many Pulse players bring the shotgun, but at the same time, that's exactly why they bring it, especially with sites with lots of soft surfaces. The shotgun can be extremely powerful, especially if you're kind of, you know, planning on solo playing as a Pulse. That can be huge. And, you know, that was the kill there for Stars. But also, of note, with this round, we are still at an 8-2 opening kill. Oh, and what a shot by Twisted Long on the cable there, and now Stanky left in a 1v3. He's trying to fight for his life there on red.
Yeah, Stanky in a very bad situation now. He does some damage, but he takes some damage as well, and he's trying to find somewhere to go. He's only got 40 seconds here, and he's trying to figure out. He looks like he's going to go down basement and do some from a rotate, but Fridge is actually waiting for just that, and Fridge is backing off a little bit, but he may be in the best spot right now. But either way, Stanky's trying to find something here. He's got a 1v3 to win.
And this puts Vinacity at match point as well. So this information, this 1v3 for Chai, also means that Vinacity is now guaranteed at least 1 point here in the matchup, as, you know, Stanky really going slow and, you know, able to close it out there with the NP5 is Twisted, and that is the round for Vinacity. So now on match point, they only have to win one of the final 2 remaining rounds if they want to take all 3 points home against Chai. And I don't know. All I'm saying is we must be pretty smart because we're 100% win rate on basement defenses. So, high risk, I guess. That's all I want to say.
And something I really, really want to give credit to here, Stars on Pulse. Stars was giving out so much information that whole round. Every time we were spectating Stars, about 90% of the time, he had his camera, or he had his scanner up, sorry. And he was watching them. He was pinging them constantly. That Jackal trying to flank up those stairs from basement. They knew exactly where he was. He had no hope. He was, in all honesty, he was screwed in that situation. And that Pulse was so big. Now, the Pulse is one where we pointed out in the past, Valkyrie getting banned is so big because that intel Valkyrie brings. But they traded out and they brought Pulse instead. And that just goes to show how strong this intel is. I mean, it's insane. Pulse probably won that round for Vinacity.
No, yeah, absolutely. It's just his use of the heartbeat detector, and coupled with his team, doing a good job playing off of it, for sure gave Vinacity the upper hand. And Chai, putting in a 3v3, but then ultimately losing it, especially with the shotgun kill we saw through the floor. Just knowing that if you have a pulse on the board, you can't really be stationary. Of note, though, we are seeing a Blackbeard come out on the side of Chai, so maybe a little bit of extra face protection for Stanky as he tries to get a kill and not have to worry as much about the one-hit headshot rule here in Siege. But again, 8 opening kills for Vinacity and 2 for Chai 10 rounds into the game, which is a pretty one-sided statistic there.
Yeah, that is definitely something that's it's easy to see why Vinacity's in the lead. I mean, when you look at it like that, they have 6-round win and 8 opening kills. I mean, that is so big. To get that opening kill, you really set the pace for the entire round, just as Twisted just did by tanking out the Blackbeard. And that's great. I hate Blackbeard with a passion. So getting to shoot him in the side is just, it's got to be a great feeling for Twisted. And I bet throughout the rest of this round, he's just thinking, even if we lose the round, I have 1 in 3. So he's going to go do a lot of roaming, though, as Sky is trying to hunt down. They're actually going below and doing a little bit of that work on that lower play.
Yeah, and Fridge actually able to get another shot from the exact angle that Muggin was holding. So Caleb down, and now to a 3v5 on an AVG defense, especially with all the Rooney Gates, the Goyo shields. The ADS is still up. This is looking like a pretty decisive and nasty round, and Fridge getting aggressive on the Master Balcony, doing a significant amount of damage there to Muggin. And it just seems Chai in a stuck place, but Sky traded out as he takes out Stars, but Danklord with the SMG-11 able to close that out. And now a 2v4, and I really like kind of the delayed reinforcements there we keep seeing from Danklord and Vinacity. So kind of buying time, we talked about it. That's what you want to do on defense, and they're doing a great job of burning utility, buying time, getting kills, and then making them fight through, more reinforcements with the, with the reinforcements. So.
Yeah, actually, we saw the Vigil come through and open up that hatch for Jaeger, and that's really, really great. They're probably going to think that Jaeger's there, because Jaeger has no way to open up a hatch for himself. So Vigil coming through from below and opening that for him so he can get out of that terrible spot is great. Now it's off to Taylor, and it doesn't matter as Taylor goes down. Out of nowhere, Twisted comes through, gets these final 2 kills. Vinacity takes the win. Our first casted game of this season. Vinacity picks it up. 3 points going to Vinacity eSports.
Yeah, huge win for Vinacity. Always, it's always, especially the first week, tensions are high, nerves are high, and coming in and getting the first win, despite having kind of a rocky second half there, still a pretty good game and a good look for Vinacity overall, especially, again, I kept personally bringing it up, the 9-2 victory, at least for opening kill to not opening kill ratio there is just absolutely huge. And just seeing that all the way across it, the pacing was continuously led by Vinacity. And different teams, especially ones that revolve around focusing on controlling the pacing of the game, is enormous. And they absolutely, for the entire game, controlled the pacing both on defense and attack. So good for them. The strats, you could tell they were communicating together, working well together, and it just, besides everyone's universal struggle on trophy statue today, all in all, was at least an entertaining match and good looks from Vinacity so far.
Yeah, and I actually do want to commend Chai, though, as well. They obviously have improved. Going to a 4-6 the way that they did, that was really, really good. I'm actually really happy to see that from them. They've been doing much better. They've been improving as a team, so that is really, really good for them. But Vinacity wins it out today, so give us a couple minutes. We're going to pull a player over from Vinacity, and we're going to get an interview going for you guys.
Preparing for our Coliseum playoff match, so we just have not had time to scrim that map. We've been scrimming all the other ones. So that was kind of a talented, so we rely heavily off of that.
So for me, right? So I guess I have two questions, and I'm sure we might have some more on the other end. But in the 1v1 with Danklord, did you guys have cams in for the plant / post plant scenario? Because I think Danklord is playing off quite a bit of info, or is that just pure game skill on his part to kind of clutch out that 1vx?
Well, we did have a lot of cams. That's why we've been running a lot of Zero. I noticed how good his cameras were for the post-plant intel, for the flank watch, and so I made the decision a few weeks ago that we were going to stop bringing Nomad and Gridlock and bring the Zero instead, because after you those cams are still able to be used. So we had a cam landing, drove a drone into Master, and we also had a cam in Statuary, so we had a lot of intel plan for them.
Yeah, it definitely looked like you guys had controlled that pretty well, and that was impressive to watch. You could tell he's playing off info, so I was definitely really curious about that.
And there's another I'd like to ask about now. Round 10. Stars, actually you on the Pulse. So, not Stars, it was you on the Pulse, I believe, right?
Yes.
So, round 10. How exhausted were you on all outs after that one?
I mean, that round is to me. I don't even know what to say there. We were struggling a little bit on op selection because Dank had a lead in on mute, and so I was forced to go pulse shotgun, which I normally only stick to in ranked, but ended up working out, which
Yeah,
yeah.
Midas actually, if you guys go back and rewatch the VOD, Midas actually put out the pulse shotgun as well, which you gotta kill. But I mean, once it came down to the ends of that round, you guys are in that 3v1 situation of the Jackal trying to flank up the basement. I mean, that pulse, we watched him. We switched over to his your screen actually for a moment there, and we could see Pulse just staring at him through the wall and just, hey, he's right here. He can't do anything. And so I guess once you reach that point into this game, I mean, obviously you had to feel like it's over. I mean, we win. So carrying over to the next game, how do you feel going into this next one? How do you feel like, do you feel like you've learned anything from this one you're going to be able to carry through? Or do you feel like going to your next one, it's going to be whatever, you're going to do even better anyways?
I think, at least for me, I think we just need a lot more time in like than as a team, because like although our teamwork was pretty solid, I think it could be a lot better. And I think against maybe a better team, I think we might have fallen apart.
Yeah, I agree with him. We're definitely putting our heads down and continuing the grind. Like, just because we won score against these guys doesn't really change anything that we're doing. We're scrimming like 2-3 maps a night still, so no change.
That's awesome. That's a pretty workload, especially coming from someone that does comp. If I was playing 3 maps a night, I would probably lose my mind. So good on you guys for that.
Yeah,
Sorry, go ahead.
sometimes I pull my hair out at the end of the night, but like it's fun. I enjoy it with these guys. So
Got you. Well, Midas, do you have any more questions you'd like to ask?
Yeah, one more question, I think, and I promise I'll let you guys go. I swear I'll be done after this. So my biggest question is, all night long, we watched both teams fall apart on Trophy Statue with a lateral push for later games. And I'll be honest, like kind of having played Chai before, at least last season, nothing too much of a surprise. They've gotten better, but still kind of struggle on some of the roam. But then, honestly, personally expected you guys to kind of hold that down a little bit better on defense. And then you guys also lost it. So what do you think was why do you think that was happening for both teams tonight?
I'll go first, then I'll let Twisted talk. So, well, one, we've never scrimmed that map before, so that was a little bit rough. The other two holds are more default that I know that my team has run, and the people that we have picked up recently, their former teams have run that strat. So we had more of a default strat on Aviator games, which I think is why we won it. And then Trophy Statue, it was just some unlucky timing. I know I heard from Travis, and it's kind of a weird strat that we have. I've never seen any other team run things similar to it. And so after a few more scrims, we should have that down. But Twisted, anything else?
Yeah, I think I just was kind of unfamiliar with it. I didn't really know how to play off my teammates or when to expect them to be covering me and when they shouldn't be.
Got you. Well, either way, you guys definitely had some supporters in chat that were showing up for you. Do you have anything you would like to say before we close out this interview to anyone that might have been supporting you, or just your team, or anyone that might have been supporting Chai? I mean, anyone.
Yeah, I have something. Subscribe to Twisted on YouTube, TWSTID.
Shameless. All right, I respect it. I respect it.
I just want to shout out our Oregoner Panda. He's just super supportive for us, and like he's been here through like a lot of stuff that's been happening through our roster changes. And I know he has a concussion right now, so I don't know if he's watching this, but I'm sure he'll find his way to him eventually. But just want to say thank you to him. He's definitely us a home at Vinacity, and we're really.
Gotcha. It's awesome, and you guys did great today. First cast a game of Season 3, and you guys pull through and win it. You get the full 3 points out of it, and that's one game closer to securing a spot in the playoffs. So, awesome job to you guys today. We really enjoyed casting you.
So, yeah. Thank you guys so much.
Awesome. Yep.
Yeah. Enjoy the rest of your nights.
Yep. Peace out.
See ya.
Yep.
All right. Well, that was Twisted and Stars from Vinacity eSports. They played a great game today with the first casted win of the entire season on the 7-4 win over on Vanilla against Chai Esports.
Yeah, thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate it. This is HydroCore Gaming Rainbow Six Siege League Season 3, so be stay tuned for more. We'll be back tomorrow night. So come check us out and support the league, your teams, and your awesome analysts and casters. So appreciate it, guys.
Have a good night.